The Secretary General, as you know, had a wide-ranging and very productive meeting with U.S. President Barack Obama at the White House yesterday afternoon, and we have a full statement upstairs describing that meeting, which covered a broad range of issues confronting the international community. Among other things, they discussed the international economic crisis and emphasized the need to ensure that the world's poor and most vulnerable people are not left behind. Both called for the redoubling of efforts to achieve the Millennium Development Goals and ensure food security around the world. They agreed that progress could be made on this front even during difficult economic times. And they both strongly emphasized the need for an international agreement on climate change, both to save the planet and ensure a sustainable economic recovery. In comments to the press afterwards, the Secretary General said that the leaders of the Group of 20 should not lose sight of the challenges and plight of hundreds of millions of the poorest people in the developing countries who have been impacted by this economic crisis. The Secretary General and the President discussed at length the situation in Sudan, particularly the acute humanitarian situation caused by the government's decision to expel 13 international NGOs, and emphasized the need for a peaceful resolution of the situation. Other topics included the need for strengthening civilian support for Afghanistan, facilitating cooperation between Afghanistan and Pakistan, actively pursuing peace in the Middle East, supporting reconstruction in Haiti, and working together to support Iraq in a period of transition. They also discussed disarmament and non-proliferation issues, including the situation in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The Secretary General welcomed President Obama's statement that the United Nations is an extraordinarily constructive partner for bringing peace and security to the world. We look forward, the Secretary General said, to working together to turn this make-or-break year full of crises into a make-it-work year full of solutions. The Secretary General today is continuing his meetings in Washington, D.C. with key U.S. officials. He participated this morning in a working breakfast with the House Foreign Relations Committee after meeting with its chairman, Representative Howard Berman. The Secretary General spoke about UN reform, in particular the restructuring of peacekeeping support, developments in Afghanistan, Haiti, and Sudan, and the upcoming G20 meeting on the economic crisis. The Secretary General noted that the United States continues to owe about $1 billion to the United Nations, and he told the committee that while the United States generously supports the work of the UN, we cannot do the work you ask us to do without resources to get the job done. They also discussed Gaza and the UN Relief and Works Agency, Somalia, Sudan, the Durban Review Conference, Afghanistan, climate change, and the Human Rights Council. The Secretary General also met with Senator John Kerry, who heads the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and they discussed climate change, Sudan, Gaza, and U.S. arrears to the United Nations. He will meet later today with members of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and members of the House Subcommittee on Energy and Commerce before returning to New York.